All right. I believe we're on, right, Carla?
That is right.
Good. Well, good afternoon, everybody. About to say morning, but I guess as we move into noon, it is it is the afternoon. We are just getting started with our Start Grow Manage Lunch and Learn, with our Start Grow Manage podcast, and we are pretty excited to be with Gene Rich from Traceless today, who's going to talk a bit about how Traceless keeps you as an MSP safe, as well as what you can do with Traceless for your clients. It seems like a very interesting piece of software, and we're really excited to learn more about it. And Traceless and Gene are also sponsoring our cybersecurity training day coming up on October 17th. I imagine that everybody has already registered for this, but if you haven't, not quite sure what you're waiting for, startgrowmanage.com/cyberli. That's going to be the URL that will get you there. And we're going to have CISA come and teach us how to use their tools to to run deep assessments, to run better assessments, to run tabletop exercises, and basically engage your clients in the cybersecurity discussion and provide them better cybersecurity. The beautiful thing about CISA is that they're spending approximately $1 bajillion on understanding all of this stuff, and we get to just use their templates and tools. And Traceless is one of our sponsors, helping us put this on and helping to make sure that we don't have to charge the MSPs and that you get fed, which is cool. Who said there was no such thing as a free lunch, right, G?
Yeah.
So, so So today we're going to learn a bit about Traceless, learn a bit about what you do. But Gene, why don't we just start with a quick introduction? Who are you, and what is Traceless?
Yeah, great. It's really nice to be here. Like I was saying pre the live stream starting, I felt really warm welcome and heartfelt approach the way you guys are looking at helping MSPs. There's a lot of groups out there and they're all trying to accelerate MSP success, but it just hit different with you guys. So it's really good to be here.
Great,
My
thank
start
you.
in the industry, yeah, of course. My start in the industry was almost 20 years ago, right? So next year will be 20 years of being part of an MSP, and that's been interesting, and it seems to be the industry of my adult career thus far. Well, it's similar to you guys, right?
Yeah,
And I think there's a lot of owner software companies that kind of stem from MSPs, and I think that it's a really challenging transition. It's a very different business to run, but I was compelled to help protect the industry from what I thought was a pretty large forthcoming attack vector. Um, Probably like it's 2019, so it's almost 6 years ago, right?
yeah.
And at that time, I had been involved with a think tank that Arnie Bellini put on before selling ConnectWise, and that turned into a formal advisory council for ConnectWise. It was a cybersecurity focused one, and we talked. Yeah, it was really fun. I mean, that's one of the nice parts of being in an industry for so long is you have segmentations of your career and the people that you've made meaningful relationships with and connections and getting in deeper. And it was really a time where I was able to think critically about working on the business as opposed to working in the business. And I know that's such a cliche thing to say, but
Well,
I think it's still
but
relevant,
it's
right?
crucial, right? I mean, it's the essential entrepreneur journey is finding that issue that you solve, and then learning how to work on the business rather than always do the work yourself. That's how you make a more effective MSP, and that's how you're going to make a more effective solution that you deliver to MSPs, is by actually being able to work on the business. So yeah, it sounds a little bit, it's sort of overused. I think we need to find a different way to say that, but it is an essential skill to having an effective business. The other thing that I
Yeah.
really like about what you said is I think a lot of the best solutions actually come out of industry. So when you working as an MSP, you really get to know what are the challenges that an MSP has, what are all of the issues that they're facing, uh, and you end up with a pain, right? Like you end up really
Hmm.
understanding that pain. You're like, I want to fix this pain, and I really think that's the best way to come up with a lot of these solutions is to come out of an MSP, and come out of it really trying to solve a pain. And you talked a bit about that being there's an attack vector that you saw, so clear pain that was coming up. What did you see, and what is that problem that you're really working on solving for MSPs?
Yeah, so I think that the general evolution of my own thought of protecting my business went from very basic, hey, you know, back up your servers, put antivirus, and make sure your patches are up to date because that's going to be a really good plan, right?
Right.
And then on the precipice of this meeting, it was in the beginning of very unfortunate and deep attacks on the MSP community. Some of those were supply chain attacks, like the Kaseya breach, but there were other just general attacks. And I think everybody got a wake up call about vendors, like software vendors, as well as MSPs. And it was really emotionally challenging to understand. I mean, you talk about tabletops, right? Like,
Right.
you know, when you really put yourself into a place of like, hey, none of your computers are accessible, none of your servers are accessible, none of your clients' devices are accessible, your
Yeah.
phone works, and you can't pick up the calls fast enough because not only do you have owners calling, you have all the employees of owners calling, right? Just for 1 minute, putting yourself into that place of panic and total chaos, really
But it's so
changes.
true. And it doesn't happen until it happens, right? You don't understand it
Yeah,
until all of a sudden you're in it and you're like, oh, this is why they kept talking about it, right? Like this is why people kept bringing it up because I've been there and it is a terrible feeling when all of a sudden stuff doesn't work and the phones are ringing and there's nothing you can do about it, right? And so
yeah,
often it's not the fact that something wasn't patched. It's not the fact that antivirus wasn't on there. It has a lot to do with just data being protected and some of the psycho what do I want to say, like the personal factors, right?
yeah. And I think that the tough conclusion is that when we were meeting, we were hearing anonymous names, but knowing that there were very well run, mature MSPs that were falling susceptible to attacks, right?
Yeah.
And that really opened my eyes because at that point I didn't feel like I was either mature as an operator or secure any longer, right? Not even close. And today I think there's a lot that we can do, but it's hard to know that none of it's good enough. I mean, Okta was breached, right? I
Yeah.
mean, they're
Yeah.
they're literally a security company, right?
Well,
So
then there's the famous crowd strike. I guess they
yeah,
weren't
yeah,
breathing,
yeah.
they created their own problems. I guess that's a different story, but still you think that these people who are protecting you are are protecting you, not causing blue screens of death, right?
Well, that's the question, right? Like, you know, one would beg to conclude that the CrowdStrike problem was QA testing, right?
Yeah.
Which is a symptom of operations, which is a symptom of, well, if that's not totally dialed in, where are the other open doors? And you don't know, right? Because
Yeah.
they're not going to disclose that. But like it was certainly a wake up call, and I think I was talking to somebody yesterday about a healthcare company tabletop that I was a part of, and what it was tough was that they basically ended up saying, well, I guess the American public is used to their health records being public information, right? And it was the decision was we're not paying the ransom and we'll accept the fallout because people are kind of used to that level of
Oh,
lack of
that's interesting.
privacy. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
we are getting a bit
super.
complacent, aren't we?
Wow.
Because it's just there's so many. How many times, like every other day, you get another data breach, yet another data breach, yet another data breach. You know, and there's only so much. You can only get excited about it like the first three times, and then after that, you just have to focus on something else. But talk to me. So you
Yeah,
came up, you identified this as a problem, and now you created Traceless. What does Traceless do?
yeah. So I think if we like zoom out on the attacks that generally happen, um, one like a very high percentage is attacking the last mile, which is kind of between the keyboard and the user, right? That's
Yeah,
like a
yeah,
you ever joke around like, oh, I've
yeah. The
solved your
peak.
problem. What was the problem? Yeah, it was between you and the keyboard. Don't worry about it. I fixed it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. A peacock problem.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. So it's interesting to think that that last mile will always be the human, right? This is why most attacks start with a phishing attack, right?
Right.
And we have seen it mostly with email. And Traceless, we believe that that attack vector is moving to phones, right, and other
Mm,
types of voice
absolutely.
communication platforms, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the secondary part of Traceless is that once attackers um, get in, right, it's a door opens, right? How is the damage really created? And mostly that is due to sensitive information being left in places where it does not belong. Now, whether
Okay.
that's a password to a database that's secure, right?
Hmm.
Or it's literally, I mean, we had an article circulate in our Slack that was like 41% of ServiceNow's public forums or knowledge base articles had some form of information that like shouldn't be there publicly, right?
That's
And
great.
so you start thinking, yeah, you start thinking about that. And so that's like really what Traceless is solving for, right? And so
Okay.
where we started, we were the first in the industry to provide a mechanism to prevent help desk phishing, right? And that stopped attacks, whether it's third party, you know, hacking gangs like Scattered
Hmm.
Spider is definitely known for this attack attempt, and insider threats. So people who are pissed off and trying to get access to their boss's email, right? Or stolen device attempts to unlock data, right? Even on encrypted devices. Um, and it's funny because like these are easy to figure out, right? Like, oh, like you steal a laptop, it's got our service desk number on it. It's advertising. Call us if you need anything, right? It's a customer service thing, right? But at the
Right.
same time, that could be in the wrong hands dangerous. Um, so that was one side of it, and the other side was how do I give people sensitive information without leaving it sit at rest? And I think the MSP side of my life was always focused on Google and Apple. And
Hmm.
until a little bit after I started Traceless, Google hadn't really introduced the notion of encrypted email. And it's a very Google concept to not need a third party spam filter or a third party anything, right? I think that's one of the main differences between Microsoft and Google is Google's like, we got
We
this,
got it.
right? That's the value. Yeah. Whether that's true or not depends on the day, right?
Right. It's a whole
All
other
these
question. We had a
reviews.
situation the other day where actually Microsoft was filtering everything. We could get it to Google, but we couldn't get it to Microsoft. And so yeah,
Yeah.
is I don't know if you can count on any of these to be foolproof. But anyway, I interrupted you. Go on. So you had
No,
these.
no. So I couldn't find a solution to move sensitive info, and even in the traceless paradigm, encrypted email is not really a paradigm that we believe is secure any longer. And there could be some debate around that, which I think is healthy. But the whole concept of the internet was based on replication and replication of data as a feature,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I think that when we're talking about certain classifications of sensitive information or files, they're needing to be shared, but they shouldn't be sitting at rest.
Hmm.
Fundamentally, conceptually, we believe that's a big thing that needs to change in the world, right? Whether
So tell me,
it's an MSP,
how,
a law firm, anything.
and how are you doing this? So how are you providing the protections?
So we have a mechanism that we've built that is able to send or receive text or files up to 200 gigs. So pretty beefy data sets that are secure are being moved with Traceless. And that's provided by, one-time access privilege that goes away after it's been viewed. And we're also gating that data with forms of two-factor identity challenges, right?
Okay.
So we've made this easy for humans to use, right? By putting it into ticketing systems, right? So it's faster. It's also a better customer experience because phonetically spelling passwords is really not fun for any party. And like I said, encrypted email, I don't believe is one, a good user experience if they need to create an account and a password and log in. And also it just sits there, right? Oftentimes people are like, oh, it's encrypted. We're not going to clean house and just remove data, right?
Yeah.
We're
So
also
give
moving
me a
this
use
technology.
case.
Yeah, go
How
ahead.
do I, so if I'm, how do I know that it's that I should be using Traceless? How do I use it as an MSP?
Yeah, so you can use our platform integrated into common ticketing systems, whether it's ConnectWise, Halo, Autotask. And then you can also use it in a standalone application. So we've had some MSPs that talk to us about their finance team not being able to buy into the traceless paradigm around sensitive information, or HR is another great use case of like, I mean, I'll be honest, if I zoom out, once you kind of buy into this philosophy, you might think differently personally too. My wife and I went through a mortgage process, and on the front side of that, you have a salesperson, right? Like any other
Yeah.
classic salesperson, they need to get the deal across the finish line, and they've got an underwriting department that's asking for information, and inevitably, I'm a dumb consumer, and I don't give them what they need. And the sales guy's like, "Yeah, just email me your W-2 from 2022, right?" Or
Yes.
how about your business tax return or your personal tax return? And at that point, I said, no, I'm not going to email you, but you can view that data here, right? You can see
Yeah.
this once. It's going to go away
So
in
that's
3 days
so
or
you would
whatever.
put the data in the Traceless system and then provide access to that through
Yeah,
sending them the password, sending them the information. And and
yeah,
and is this something and so it sounds like this is something you could really use with clients as well. So you could help them connect better with their clients and provide secure access. Like CPAs have the same problem. I know, they're sending
correct.
W-9s back and forth, which W-9, for anybody who doesn't know, that's what you get when you're going to get a 1099 from a company, and they have to give you your social security number, uh, full name and address, right, and phone number. So you
Yeah,
get all that information in one nice, neat little PDF that everybody drops in the email and sends all the time through through email, right? It seems like this is the a type of system you could use with your CPA clients or with your other clients, provide to
yeah.
them so that they can have that secure communication with their clients.
Yeah, and we're moving this to Slack and Teams as well. So Slack is a product we have many companies using. Teams is almost baked. It's a very different ecosystem, as you can imagine, the way that Microsoft architects their solutions. I guess that's why most MSPs have jobs, right?
That's
Is due to that
right.
complexity, right? Um, but you know, we believe that those ecosystems are highly unprotected because they are, right?
Yeah.
And there's also not a lot of training. If I told somebody who was a senior member of a company, hey, just a reminder, don't email me that credit card info. They might say like, oh yeah, I'm not an idiot, right? And then you're like, hey, but you put that on Teams. They might say, oh, I didn't know I had to do that. I didn't know that that was a thing, right? Because I didn't email outside of our org or whatever, right? But lo and behold, they don't know that four of their vendors have full access to that channel in Teams because
Yeah, because it's
that's a
not even
feature.
that Teams might be encrypted; it's who have you given access to who can
100%.
then see the data. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We got a
Also,
couple
in the
hell
business,
yeahs in the comments, by the way. There's a lot of people agreeing in the comments about what you just shared.
yeah, and so that's kind of where we are today. We're also launching this year. We're calling it like transactional DLP, right? So really a lightweight machine learning driven application to detect and alert and remove sensitive information, right? Because I think that there's like when you think of classic DLP, right? You think of like,
Hmm.
oh, I'm a healthcare company, HIPAA, right? I'm a bank, FINRA, or whatever bank. I probably messed that one up. Anyway, we don't work with banks. I'm an MSP, so
Doesn't matter.
but they have
It's
frameworks
good for
and
us
they,
here. We know what you mean. We know what you mean,
yeah, you know what I
right?
mean, right? But we think that this concept needs to come to the masses and it needs to revolve around sensitive information that people easily give up. I mean, I'm not going to disclose the vendor, but one of the largest vendors in our space like said, yeah, just email me a credit card for payment, right? And I'm like, I can't believe how many times I see in my normal life large, mature, successful companies who are doing things that blow my mind from a data security perspective. Now, the other thing that we're focusing on, and again, we're expecting this, right, is
Yeah,
that any kind of, the evolution from my MSP days was like, you know, hey, don't click on phishing emails, right? But then you had some really interesting people, right, who had similar domains, right, and the same names who got into email threads. So that was a whole thing, right? That was a whole attack
right,
vector, right?
right.
And then people are like, okay, look, we're going to be super secure here. If you're going to get a wire transfer, we're going to call you, right? Okay, the day is
So now you
saved.
change the
Everyone
phone
is,
number.
yeah. And the reality of what's forthcoming is that there is going to be a world, whether it's next year or the year after, where voice AI spoofing is going to hit business hard.
Yeah, that's a very good. I just on. I don't know if you've seen the new Google. What is it? Google Notebook LM. This new AI from Google. It's Google Notebook, I think, or Google LM. If you
I
Google
heard about
Google,
it, but I haven't used it. Tell
well,
me
Isn't it
more.
here's
Google
what's
Gemini?
really interesting. It's based on Gemini, right? But it's specifically Google Notebook. And what's particularly interesting about this, so to your point around spoofing and voice spoofing, is it has a feature where you can upload all of your notes, and it will create a podcast uh, and it's all AI generated. So it's this AI generated podcast of two people chatting about your notes. And what's fascinating about it is it sounds really good. It really sounds like two people having a conversation, right?
Yeah.
And if that's where we are today, give it another year, and you're going to have an app on your phone that's going to be able to generate a spoofed conversation, spoofed numbers with two or three clicks, right? Like it's just not even going to be an issue to
Yeah.
to to fake a conversation on the other side.
Yeah. Because guess what? I mean, like attackers automate attack methods and they use tools, right?
Yes,
They have a stack, right? And that
and
stack is
one
going
thing
to get very, very good very quickly in the next few
and
years.
what's really clear as well about the attackers is that they're actually well-funded large companies who are doing who are figuring out how to do this at lightning speed. So, well, I think that's really
Yeah.
interesting for anybody who wants to check out Traceless. They've got a really awesome offer for MSPs. So you go to traceless.com/MSP, and Carla is going to put this in the link, and I believe it allows you to get started for free, right, Gene?
Yeah. So, I mean, the early day of Traceless was like, I felt very empowered and awakened, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to grab my cape and protect the entire industry, right? And we had very, very aggressive pricing. And people were like, hey, look, I can't take you seriously because the pricing is too low, right? And so we've made adjustments, but the passion around Traceless was to protect the industry. I mean, that was why I started Traceless,
Yeah,
and that's in our core. And so as we evolve and build products for MSPs customers, for mid-market companies, the promise and commitment to protect the space will never go away. So we want to make sure that if somebody has this message resonate with them, they can sign up today and use the tool for free, right? There are paid versions that are better in different ways, like every application. But we
sure.
want people to say, I want to do something, right? And be able to do something without a cost to their organization.
Well, and just get a taste, see how it works, and then see how you can roll it out to clients, or where it might be useful throughout your organization. Which it's sort of the right way to go about it, right? And
Yeah,
then if they
I've
have
gotten,
questions, they
yeah.
can come see you and chat with you about it on October 17th. What do you hope people get out of this conversation we're having with CISA on October 17th? Like, if there's a lesson you would want them to come away with.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because there's part of security selling, like at Traceless we want people to like look at security as like they look at their health, right? We
Yeah,
want to say like be healthier around identity security, be healthier around data security, right? Unfortunately, most adoption comes when the threat pressure grows, and
yeah,
that threat pressure is here. It's been here for MSPs for a long time. And I think we're not always in the mode of critically thinking on how our company could be infiltrated. And I think it's good to take a pause and really immerse yourself in that
yeah,
existence, that reality, to think about what you might need to do or what you could do. And sometimes it's quick and easy. I mean, let's be honest. Open doors are what attackers use to move through organizations. Those open doors often can easily be closed, right? Hey,
yeah,
that was a great tabletop. I went back and I double checked. We had some dumb conditional access policy on Azure that didn't require two-factor, and man, I set up that on my support email, and now I feel like I'm one more click secure than I was before that, right? And I think that that's like the incremental change is challenging, right? That's like the summary of my professional and personal life with three kids that are under 6 is that personal life is going faster than I want, and then the work life never goes fast enough, right? And
let me
those
say,
two hitting each
that's
other,
so
it's a
true. I
hard
hadn't thought of
reality,
it.
man.
Yeah, yeah, it's very true. It's the first time my daughter is graduating. My youngest is graduating high school this year, so it's amazing how fast that goes. And yet, work life does seem to take time to get things going. So that's a very
Yeah.
interesting
So
observation.
yeah, and
So
so if somebody could take one little, I mean, my success is a stacked up group of small accomplishments and small learnings from community and other MSP owners and experience. So like I've accelerated my own success by the stories and findings of other people who have learned it the hard way, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
I think that that's what these, again, working on the business, that's what these group meetings are for, right? So yeah, I don't need a tabletop, I feel good. Okay, fine. You might be looking at security wrong, right? That's okay. But maybe you want to meet somebody in your region who's like you, right? I just had a meeting yesterday at my MSP about a strategic relationship, and I confronted somebody I thought was a competitor, and I said, I think there might be something here, right? We can learn from each other and maybe refer business, and there was, right? And I found that to be true so often at these MSP conversations
well,
as
that's a
well.
good point. So a couple of things that I want to build on there is I think that for people to come and understand what the threats are is a big deal. Understand the threats for themselves, and I think as well learn better how to communicate that to their clients, because it's like you say, the threat is here now, and we're underestimating, undervaluing that threat. So to be able to express to people, this is why, this is how, this is what's going on, I think that's a really valuable thing. And then just this idea of what you just said something a second ago, and I lost it. What did you just end with? It was a really
We need the AI here. Where's the AI
no.
when we need
Well,
it, huh?
yeah, but there was something
It's
else that you said that I thought was really crucial
well,
for
yeah. So like a lot of my growth in my MSP has been from referrals from other
right.
MSPs, right?
That's
America's
the
a big
other thing.
place.
That's the other thing that I really want to emphasize. We as a company see there's a lot of concern in some circles around competition or that the market's not big enough. And what we keep coming up against is a growing market, growing need, and it's the more we can come together and figure out, well, this is my niche and that's your niche, and this is how we can support each other, the better off we'll be. So we're much better off collaborating. There's no way any of us can take a significant enough chunk of the market that we're taking anything away from any other smaller player out there, right? You worry about
Yeah,
competition when you've got a $100 billion market cap. That's really when it kicks in. But at our level, right? It's really there's not a lot of competition. It's really more about how we can work together and collaborate and learn from each other and discover from each other and get better together. And I do think that's one of the key things about coming together in an event like this is
yeah,
getting to know the other people, learning from what they're doing, learning from your journey, learning from other journeys, and being able to apply that uh, to our day to day, and taking that time to work on the business to build a better business and better delivery model. So
yeah,
I think that's sounds like a good conversation that we can have on October 17th. And again, that's just 2 weeks from now. So if you want to have a deeper conversation with Gene, you can come join us, and we should have a good time. We've got lunch, we've got drinks, we've got education, everything you want from an afternoon. And if you want to register for the event, that's again starkrowmanage.com/cyberli. Carla will put that in the chats, and check out the tool from Traceless, traceless.com/MSP, and we'll put that in the chat as well. And I think with that, Gene, it has been a real pleasure chatting with you.
yeah.
I think I
Thanks for having
learned
me.
a few things, and I'm very excited to give your tool a try and see how it works, and very excited to see how people are able to use this to improve security with and for their clients, so with themselves but also their clients, so that they are able to deliver a better, more secure package. And I think there are a lot of opportunities out there for that.
Yeah, and just
Awesome.
a call out, we are the company we are from feedback as well. So somebody, if this resonates, but you thought it should be something different, or it didn't look like you wanted it, just inquire, right? We're a
that's,
real MSP led company at the moment.
that's brilliant. Love that. All right, Gene. Well, on that, thank you very much. Do we have any
Yeah,
questions? Before I go, I'm just assuming we don't have any questions, Carla. Do we have any questions?
We did get two questions. I believe the two of you covered it, but I'll still ask them anyway. So one
Okay.
question for Jean was, what does using Traceless look like day to day for an
great.
MSP?
So in the best practices scenario, you verify every single inbound phone call, right? So that happens every time a tech or engineer, however you facilitate language around your employees or peers, answers the phone. We think that that's best practice because you never know where somebody might claim a printer issue and then circle back to, oh man, now my email's broken, right? Again, classic attack vectors hit when you're not expecting them to hit, right? And so verifying every request is important. And then sending and receiving sensitive information, right? So whether you're doing it to customers, whether you're doing it internally through Teams or Slack, whether you're an owner and you're facilitating the the transfer of passwords to and from transitioning of clients or banking information. That's the daily use of Traceless.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Well, and I think with that, we
Sure.
also cover what is something an MSP would use this for. So, it's. I think that we've talked a lot about that, and I think it looks great. So, so again, Gene, thank you very much. Thank you for being here. I look forward to hanging out with you
Yeah.
on the 17th. Really appreciate what you're doing. So, on behalf of all of our clients and MSPs we work with, thanks for your efforts. And we will talk to you soon. Thank you very much
Okay.
for joining us. And like I said, if you haven't registered, if you haven't tried Traceless, give them a try. The links are in the chats. And again, sorry for the LinkedIn issue. We thought we had that fixed, but apparently not. So we will be changing streaming platforms, ladies and gentlemen. On that, have a wonderful afternoon, wonderful couple of weeks, and we will see you soon. Thanks, everybody.